It is absolute chaos. Is this the beginning of the end of the world? Because Facebook and Instagram are down. Now, by the time this video uploads, they'll probably be back on. And a lot of you asked me to comment on it, and sure, I could come out here and give it a crazy, wacky theory on why it could be down. Do I think things like this are all controlled and not just something, along the lines of a server being down? Could it have something to do with the data situation that Facebook is going through and then pulling the plug or some type of thing? Sure. We can all speculate. But what I want to talk about is the reaction that this causes, because this is a great example to show you where people's minds are at in the world today. Where's people's priorities, right? I mean, literally, this has become a mass panic across the internet. From Twitter, it's being, the top thing trending on Twitter, to, it's nightly news. The main thing on the news is, oh my gosh, Facebook's been down for 6 hours. And this just shows you how plugged in people are. This should be an opportunity for people to realize how unimportant this self-absorbed world is that revolves around Facebook, which is nothing more than a way for you to brag about yourself and your own life, or talk about yourself, or seek sympathy for yourself, or to stalk and look at other people's business and then compare each other's lives. It's stuff that I've been talking about as far as the social score is concerned, which is going to be a thing like a credit score, to how much you oblige by the rules and walk between the lines, because they want to monitor and control people's behavior, and that begins with monitoring what they would consider hate speech, right? That way they can start censoring free speech and really just turning this into 1984 completely, which is what eventually will happen. But what you saw was this mass panic from it being down, and that's what I've always said. When people talk about, the plug being pulled, and what if they, cut off the power across the country or did some massive thing, people would lose their minds. They want people, in my opinion, to be plugged in. Because all these things, the way that you perceive how they end, and, all this stuff with martial law is going to come, isn't going to be by physical force. It's the people who are going to demand it. Because order out of chaos, the motto, of course, of the Masons and the Satanists, will be about them creating chaos and bringing in order. The order will be demanded by the people. And that's what we constantly see. But look at the reaction that people have just from losing Facebook for 6 hours. 6 hours. Now, I've been saying this since I started on YouTube. I don't have social media. I have
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show.
With, stalking, harassment.
It's panic. It is absolute chaos.
People wanting to do all the weird things that happen on here. It becomes very obsessive behavior, very abnormal behavior that's not healthy for anyone, right? And even people like me get triggered on here at certain times, and even I can lose my cool because it becomes so ingrained in your life. I couldn't even imagine if I had Facebook and all this stuff of all these people following me around, and people you knew when you were kids, and everybody knowing your business. I mean, it's just insane, but people can't live without it. Just imagine a world where suddenly they cut off everybody's phones, and they shut everyone's phones down. I mean, all these people who are currently walking, talking, robotic zombies, who just go around regurgitating what they hear on the news, thinking that that's reality and that's truth, those people's heads will explode if they ever pull the grid, if they ever shut down the cell towers, because they won't have their phone, they won't be able to text. These people don't even know how to communicate face to face, right? This is the way the elites want it. Because, despite the fact that they pretend like, love is in the air, with this whole love movement, they've caused so much hatred, so much anxiety, and so much depression in this world because of social media. Because everybody's trying to one-up each other. Everybody's focused on each other and each other's business, and then how they can, quote-unquote, self-improve. What's a good look for themselves, right? Everybody thinks of themselves as a brand. Individual human beings on Facebook literally market themselves on Facebook as brands. Oh, this is what I ate today. This is what I'm doing at the gym, right? And they put in these regurgitated catchphrases like work hard, play hard. None of these people have a clue. Their brains aren't operating on a conscious level. They're just repeating and regurgitating crap. So quite frankly, when you see the panic that gets caused when Facebook and Instagram goes off the grid for whatever, 6 hours, 10 hours. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's currently down, according to, every news outlet out there, and all of the people who are pulling their hair out of their head because they can't go on there and show people their latest pedicure or manicure. This is what the world has become. This is a frightening place to live. While they'll tell you that everybody is caring and loving of each other, and the love movement, and people like me are, we're the bad side of things, we're the hateful people, we're bigots because we don't agree with, certain agendas being pushed through the television, certain agendas being pushed at our children, like the trans stuff that we see. These people cannot live without these mechanisms in their lives, because it's almost like if you unplug, like they're walking around plugged into a socket in a wall with a really long extension cord. And once, Facebook goes down, once their phones don't work, and they hit a point and oops, the plug comes undone. They just stand frozen. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to live in a real world. This should be a reminder to people out there who have Facebook, who are on YouTube. Get outside. Be around family. Be around people. Don't allow social media and all this stuff to control your everyday decision making, because they're making it that way. And whether anyone wants to admit it or not, they have made it that way. Okay, everybody remembers when I covered the TV show, and if you haven't seen the video, it's a video you should watch. Black Mirror on Netflix, with the social score, and she raised her voice at somebody at the airport, so her social rating went down, so she couldn't board on a plane. I mean, this is stuff that's actually going on around the world. And again, the stuff that you see in these fictional shows where people think it's crazy starts to become a reality, right? Like, even something as stupid as RoboCop. When you saw it in the 80s, you were like, this is pretty funny, this is an action movie, it's stupid, blah, blah, blah. Now we literally have RoboCops, right? Terminator. I mean, sure, we don't have T2s walking around shooting people in the head, but we see the rise of transhumanism and the rise of mixing man and machine, right? Artificial intelligence. And the same goes with these other types of things. And this is why we live in a world. It's not just because of the chemical baths that they're giving us, vaccinations, all of these things that have been forced upon us. It's the mind control that is so heavy and so ingrained in people. And everybody is just sitting around on social media. It is not healthy. It is not good for anyone's mental health, even to be on here. There's people who comment sometimes on my videos, and they're like, I love you, you're the best, all this stuff. Like, no. Because by you saying that, I appreciate the kind words, don't get me wrong, but by you saying that, you're doing no different than somebody who's doing that to Kanye West or some other celebrity out there. I'm not a celebrity. Right? This whole social media thing has gotten to the point where people are looking at things like that. No. We're all just individual people floating around on a breeze. But don't allow these types of things to control your mind and control your emotion. Right? Because just imagine what is going to happen if they ever do pull the plug. Because you ever seen, like, the attacks and those things that happen when people are on bath salts? Right? Those videos and stuff where it's like people are like snorting bath salts, which, I mean, I don't even know where they even got the idea, but nonetheless, they're running around like biting people in the face. I mean, it literally could be that bad just from having people's, shutting down cell towers and shutting the internet off. Because humans don't even know how to engage and interact with each other anymore. And not having Facebook for half of a day, it's not even half of a day, 6 hours out of a day, worldwide. It is called worldwide panic. And to think that this isn't just some type of, them testing, you can think whatever you want, right? I can come on here and give you a theory about it and say, well, I think maybe it's just a test to see, because most of the things they do, and I believe that, are social experiments, right? You see, when you hear these things about surveys and they go, well, 80% of the people, are now have the flu, didn't get their flu shot. I mean, are they knocking on everyone's door asking them that? Of course not. It's a made-up statistic to influence you and persuade you, right? These types of things they use as social experiments, and they can gauge this through the reaction on other social media platforms like Twitter, right? How this is like trending worldwide, the Facebook outage, right? And the Instagram outage. On YouTube, the amount of videos and live streams that people are doing right now talking about it. And I'm sure tomorrow there'll be dozens of videos, right? All the fake guys will run out and they'll talk about it. The Francos and all these puppets, and they'll say, what the reasons for it is, whatever the reason Facebook gives, which will say, we had this massive outage. That's fine. But they're always gauging the emotions of people and how they react for some type of plan that they have in place. And that's a fact. Now, could this just be an accident? Of course. But don't forget those types of things, that how they constantly are testing and poking at people to see the reaction that people have. Because if people push back, they realize, okay, we can't go forward with this agenda yet. We need to continue to indoctrinate them or continue to brainwash them or anything, like that. Now, I'm not saying the agenda is to pull the plug on social media, because of course it's not. They love it, but they love to see just how much control it has over people's lives. So the point of this video isn't to create a conspiracy around the Facebook outage, but just to remind you, just see and look around you how many people reacted and freaked out by this. Doesn't it show you where we're at as a culture, as a society, when something like this is controlling your life to the point where people are flipping out and actually are going on other social media sites to complain that they can't get into their Facebook account? Like, the world's going to end for 6 hours. Go for a walk, go for a hike. I don't know what people do. Go play golf. All right. Read a book. Read the Bible. But this is what happens when you're in a, quote-unquote connected world. It's just what they want. Because when everybody's plugged in, that means everybody's constantly plugged in to the nonsense, to the propaganda, right? And to this self, obsession that people have with themselves, with sharing themselves and sharing their information, acting, of course, like they're not doing it for self-attention. They're just like, oh, no, I'm doing it because, I want to show pictures of my, grandkids or something, or I want to show pictures of my dinner because I made it, and No, you're doing it for that. Or you're doing it and you're saying, oh, I had a bad day today, so that 25 people can kiss your rear end. And this is how self-absorbed people have become, right? But they don't see that in their head. They don't see the pride or any of that stuff. What they see is this other stuff that they're telling them to look at, like hate speech, right? And they're like, oh, these people are so hateful, but I'm not a hateful person, or I'm not a this or that. Everyone's a hypocrite. And it's because of social media and all these other things like Facebook, and yes, YouTube as well. Great. It's great to be on here and be able to share my opinion, and it's great to hear everybody's feedback. But don't let any of this, any of these social media sites or the internet consume you to the point of, feeling down or any of that stuff. I tell people all the time about my channel, if you ever start to feel down, like, get off the channel, especially if you're a Christian. Go read the Bible. You don't need to know this stuff if you're already saved. If you're interested in hearing about it, that's fine. But, don't let it be a detriment to your mental health. And that, just a clear example is exactly what just occurred with Facebook and Instagram. Never seems, I guess I've seen more chaos and people acting ridiculous. I've probably seen more in my life, but it's just amazing to me what a big story this is, because they're doing site maintenance for 6 hours, that it's like trending worldwide. It's on nightly news, and people are like, I can't believe it. What am I going to do? I can't get in. Well, you can't get into, to show everybody a picture of how you put a decal on your bumper of your car. Oof, boy, the world might blow up tomorrow. Give me a break. And thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.